Hi there, welcome to Filecoin Wyckoff Technical Analysis session. If you're new to my sessions, here are the 3 key takeaways you can expect from the session. So let's start with the weekly chart of Filecoin. Here, we are a week after the, you can say the pump towards the sign of strength level around the yellow key level of $3.6. And as of this moment, this retracement that we are seeing, the volume itself is about a third of what we have last week. But be mindful that last week, when the pump happened, this selling from the $3.9 all the way back to 2.7 or 2.8 contributes to a lot of it. So I would consider this volume this week is more or less the same as last week. There's still 2 days and 7 hours left, so there can still be changes. But when I say the same, I mean the ratio of the size of the candle versus the volume itself. All right. So from a magnitude or like that ratio perspective, they're pretty much the same, but still higher than the previous weeks. Okay. So what's next after this sign of strength? There can be continuous testing before the actual or the next sign of strength comes in. The next stage before the climb. All right, so let's see what happened over here. There were multiple tests. Went up, came down, went up, came down, went up, came down before it actually gets to the next distribution cycle. So sometimes there were less bounces, or like mini bounces, but still multiple tests towards the lower end. Interestingly, for Filecoin, both the 2023 accumulation cycle and 2024 accumulation cycle, the low of those tests ended somewhere around the orange key level of 3.15. This time, we are much lower than that. The low is actually somewhere around $2. The deepest point, the spring, was actually around 1.5. Okay, so this is very different from the entire life, probably, for Filecoin, since 2018, when this chart started to have data. All right. So let's expect subsequent tests to follow before a confirmation to the upside, where a potential last point of support or backup period will appear between the yellow key level of 3.6 and the green key level of 4.2. So that's the more optimistic scenario when that happens. Let's get to the daily chart and see where there are any breakout indications. So in the daily chart, the Wyckoff stages are different from the weekly. Okay, it's constrained by what's happening in the weekly, but it's got its mini cycles. Not that Wyckoff is designed for daily charts or daily frequency or lower. If you're new, the origin of this is based on the community request that let's try put Wyckoff into a lower level time frame first compared to the weekly. So what happened on last Friday may be a buying climax, all right? Because there was a mini accumulation going on during mid-October all the way to early November after the climax and subsequent LPSYs. Okay? And if that's the case, this automatic reaction is going really, really deep. Okay, I was expecting it to stop somewhere around the 2.6 key level, that red key level over there. However, it went below even the white line, basically the bottom of the long-term playground zone. The relieving sign is that the volume has been declining. So you see from the very first day, November the 8th, the last Saturday basically, the volume has been declining. So the selling is less crazy, that means. And looking at the candlestick, even though people are still selling from this point, it has edged outside of this resistance. So it's not dropping as the same rate as before. Okay, it's now going a bit sideways. So combined with the volume, these two signs gives us a little bit of relief that it's not going crazy, dropping back to where the spring was just a week or so ago. If the automatic reaction finishes here, there may be a little bit of rebound. Not necessarily a second test, but it can be, okay? It can just be bouncing towards the red key level, meaning an LPSY, and then eventually start to accumulate again. Alright, so it's still possible for it to come back down to this level at around $1.5. Just that at this point, staying at this $2 level, it seems to have found the little bit of support that is, I just want to say, coming from the selling climax roughly. That's late June. Alright? It's only taking a pause right now. There's a tendency for it to retest this level. Okay? So if I draw a line just to let us know in future sessions that where it is stopping now, or taking a pause right now, is because we had the selling climax around that level back in June. So if I enlarge this, because if you're watching on mobile, it's not easy. The lines are thin and things are small. So this is where the lowest point of the wick is, around 1.956. All right, if we move towards the right hand side, 956, 956. All right, if we move towards the right hand side, look at where we are now. We're basically almost at that point. So there's a place where intermediate support exists before it comes down to these lower level, or the next selling climax, basically. That selling climax was there around 1.5. Okay, so this downtrend isn't over yet, but it's seemingly slowing down. So one last thing I'm going to draw is this box that you always see in my other sessions. So assuming this is the downtrend, alright? If it is trending towards the ceiling, this time point around November 17th, in 3 days time, there is a chance for it to confirm whether this downtrend is over, and maybe it's going to turn into a horizontal trading trend. Okay? Or if there's sufficient demand, that's where the second test will appear. Alright? Because in the daily chart, it's very noisy and very difficult to tell whether it's going to develop into a full form distribution. Like, what happened over here? There was a mini second test after the automatic reaction, but that automatic reaction is kind of shallow compared to the deep one we are seeing right now. Okay, so when I say there may not be a second test, it may end up just being a little bump, which is, we can call it an LPSY, before it returns to this dash line once again. Alright, I shouldn't do that over there, but it's okay. Alright, so that's for Filecoin. Still within the bigger accumulation, but the downtrend in the daily seems to be like softening. So that's all for